This is Around the Northwest now. The final of Dancing with the Stars is on Sunday evening on RT1. And there's great local interest because there's Brooks Callion. There's also Damien McGinty. In fact, I think there's another contestant that has a Derry connection. But anyhow, we've got Damien on the line now. And we want to wish Damien the best and find out a little bit about, what the journey's been like. So we're streaming as well. Damien, good afternoon to you.
Hello, how's things?
Yeah, good. Things are great with you. I mean, did you fancy it at the start when you up sticks and moved over here and, were in for as long as it took, that here you would be in the final?
I'll be honest, I couldn't have fancied anything less. That's the truth. I mean, I've got to be honest, like, starting off this, this opportunity and this project, I didn't really have expectations coming on it. And that was part of the reason that I was like, I actually fancy doing this, is because it was so unknown and it was so scary and frightening that it just really appealed to me at this point in my life, at this point in my career. I was just like, do you know what? I sort of fancy
a challenge.
Yeah, I fancied a new challenge. Like, that was sort of, something that was really attractive to me. And then I think starting it off, my main target was to just not go home first. I was just like, I don't want to go home week one. I'm curious how far can take me on this,
Okay. Well, that's understandable, but I think from looking at it casually, you've actually improved and you've sort of warmed into the role. Would you call yourself a dancer at this stage?
It's a very loose term. I mean, what I would say is that now moving forward is, if I seen, like, if my agent presented me with an opportunity now that said this role requires competent dancing, I would view it very differently now, and I would say, for the first time ever in my life, I would say, yep, I can do that. I can do that. Yeah.
People who would have known you from Glee and Celtic Thunder and so on would probably have thought, well, you know what, there's going to be plenty of dancing in him. He's an entertainer. Not necessarily the case. I mean, you hadn't had much dancing experience up to that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think, to be honest, it's very, very important to know the difference between, like, dancing as a member of Celtic Thunder. That's very kind of simple performance choreography. Dancing on Glee was a lot more difficult, but at the same time, you were part of a group of 15 main cast members, and you recorded the dance numbers 50 times, and then you edited it, and they might have got an ankle movement from me in the final edit. Like, that's the reality of it. Whereas this is like, we're talking honing in on technicalities and doing a live performance of, for example, my semi-final was a rumba, and it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Like, the attention to detail required was that you would expect of someone that would be studying this for 10 years, not 11 weeks,
Because there's nowhere to hide. You've got to go out and perform it and do it live. So there's nowhere to hide. There's no, they'll sort that out in the editing.
No, that's the thing. You've got a minute and a half. You've got a live opportunity, and anything can happen when it's live, as we've seen on the show over the last 3 months. And as you see in any sort of live environment, truly anything can happen. So that makes this all the more terrifying, because, none of us that signed up for the show are competent enough to feel confident that no matter what, nothing goes wrong in the live show,
Two women to talk about. First of all, you're a partner in this, Kaylee, because I don't think you would have got as far if it didn't click with the two of you and get on really well together, and then that in turn leads to dancing well together.
100%. Like, this is a team effort. It's an absolute team effort. I'm very aware that this, the celebrities, and inverted commas, I'm very aware that the celebrities get the leading name for it, and that their name would take the credit, but, like, that's not the way it is. It's, myself and Kelly have been a team. It's been a 50-50 effort. I couldn't do it without her, and vice versa. I mean, I would argue I've needed her more, to be honest. Like, I've leaned on her very hard, because she's unbelievable. Her choreography is sensational. She's such a talent. I got very lucky getting paired with her. So, like, yeah, it's very much so a team effort. and that kind of I like working part of a team too. That's always something that I've really enjoyed is striving to get somewhere together as part of a team. I think is way more enjoyable than individual.
Derry's very strong in this because we have Brooke Scullion in the final as well. A lot of people are saying it's going to be between you and Brooke, and I suppose in a way it's been great to have sort of a fellow townie in there with you.
Oh, it has, and Brooke is. I mean, first of all, if we're being totally transparent, everybody knows naturally Brooke is the best dancer. There's just no question about it, and that's not me being humble or self-deprecating. That's like no, like Brooke is naturally. She came in week one and she blew everybody's socks off, and everybody's just like, that's unreal. So like, but I think what it is in a show like this is it's not necessarily the dancing. Sometimes it's the journey and where you've come from day one, and everybody's journey looks different, and people enjoy different journeys. And you know, Brooke's been unreal. She's become a really really good friend. I'm actually very fond of her, and you know, she's not young, but she would be 7 or 8 years younger than me, and I sort of feel the need to just keep a slight eye on her and just like make sure that she's doing okay. And we've always had good long talks at the weekends if she's ever struggling, and vice versa. Good. So there's a really good friendship forming there.
Good. That's good to hear. It's been quite a journey for you, and it's been, I suppose, in a way, a big ask for you because you've had to move over from the States for whatever it's been now for the last few months with rehearsals and then the live shows. So it's been a fair bit of upheaval.
It has been an upheaval, and you know that was the way this presented itself was I was here in October and we were working on a new Celtic Thunder record, and one of the producers seen that I was in Dublin, and I've had conversations with the shows previously, but it just never quite felt right. But this time the producer reached out to me, and for whatever reason it just sort of hit me at the right time. And then it ended up, the end of last year actually ended up being very stressful because I was in my own new album cycle and I was in a tour cycle. So in December and November, I had to do 4 transatlantic trips between a 45 city American tour. And that was bedlam like I've never experienced in my life. And then I finally did the last trip and we got here New Year's Eve. And then me and Kelly have just been working ever since. But I mean, yeah, I had to have conversations, obviously, with my wife. You know, I got married nearly married 4 years. And now my career just looks a wee bit different now, where you can't make decisions solely based off of what you fancy or what you're sort of feeling in the moment. It's like, no, I've got a family now. I have to have conversations because it affects more than just me, you know?
Yeah. Have you had much chance to get up home? I know you were up, was it a couple of weeks ago, and you did a bit of a tour of your former schools and stuff. So I'm sure that was good.
Oh, it was great crack, I have to say. I mean, it was, to be honest, it took me by surprise because like we are in the show and you're kind of in a bubble where you're either in the studio or you're on the rehearsal space, and you don't really like, I haven't had a social life at all. I mean, the only time I got to Derry was last week to go up to the schools, and I just couldn't believe the support. I couldn't believe it. Was a reminder of like, you know, I know the ratings are huge for the show this year anyway, but it was just a reminder of people are actually watching this show. Like kind of the whole country's kind of tuning in at the minute.
Yeah.
And we don't really see that because when you're the other side of the TV screen, it's just like, this is normal life and you don't see anything. You don't see the people watching, you know? Yeah. So the support from Derry was phenomenal and really, really humbling.
A lot of rehearsing. I mean, you know, you just can't go out and do that on a Sunday night without putting in the work during the week.
No, especially if you've seen me on a Monday morning compared to what Sunday night looks like. I mean, I just the way it is for me, I would say on average, I've had to put on about 35 hours a week, I would say. If that's probably a decent number, yeah.
That's like just being a full-time dancer. Well, listen, exactly. we wish you what beyond this now, because you know this is coming to an end. You know, whatever the result is, it's coming to an end on Sunday. So, what now beyond this for you? Is there more Celtic Thunder, or what's in the planning?
So in the summer, I've got a tour of my own lined up, which is going to be North America, and we're looking at European dates and things like that, because I've always now been interested as I sort of, you know, just start my 30s. I want to start transferring workload to Ireland. So that was sort of, you know, part of the decision making process behind Dancing with the Stars as well. And then in the second half of the year, we've got a new Celtic Thunder record record and a big tour in North America for Hit. And then, like, to be honest, the way it's kind of going at the minute is there's a lot of, my agents and kind of management team and stuff like that are having a lot of conversations about different opportunities that are kind of coming through the pipeline, or people that are interested in having general meetings and all this stuff. So, like, part of this career is just kind of navigating through it sometimes, and you never know what's ahead 3 months in advance. Like, I didn't know in October that the first quarter of my year would be spent doing this. I had no idea. Okay. So that's kind of the nature of it as well, which is enjoyable, but also you lie in bed at night as a self-employed person being like, I would like to turn my brain off, but I can't.
No, and I suppose you can't, you can't determine what's going to happen in a few months' time, or maybe even a few weeks' time, and you have to be flexible and you have to go with it. And maybe you'll have to go with having one Dancing with the Stars after Sunday. So the best
Honestly,
of luck.
I would. That would be unreal.
Take this opportunity now to remind people. What's you text Damien?
Yes.
Is it?
You text Damien to 53125, and then there's 2 phone numbers as well, from the south and from the north, if you want to ring in. Which, transparently, I have no idea who rings in on boats these days on TV shows, but I think texting is probably the way to go.
I would imagine so. Well, listen, the best look on Sunday. We'll be tuning in and giving our fingers and anything else crossed for you, and hope that it all goes. Hope that all the hard work actually pays off and you put in a good performance, and after that, then church is.
That's it. Fingers crossed. Thanks, Benji. I appreciate your time. Hey, cheers, Sean.
No bother, Amy.
Thanks.
Look after yourself.
Around the Northwest with Donegal.